Welcome to the Brewtiful Game. As always, I am Blake here with Ferris.
Hola.
And Ron.
What's happening?
And on tonight's episode of the Brewtiful Game, happy anniversary, gents, as we do what we did 8 seasons ago, also known as 7 years. That math made it hard for us to figure out. It's time for our Premier League wrap-up of the 2022-2023 season.
And I will say, that season, there was a team that won it. This season, that team is no longer in the league.
Yep, gone. Yep. How the mighty Foxes have fallen.
And I can't tell you how nice it is to have a season finish.
Ron was ready for it to be done. This is accurate.
For you, very, very true.
We're also going to give a look at our bestestes of the seasons. Before we have a look at how our predictions held up, I'm curious. Some I know about recently, but the other ones I'm not sure of. We'll also share who won our Fantasy Premier League contest.
A repeat winner.
Let's just say it's nice to see someone who wears a Spurs jersey win a little something. So that's for you, buddy.
Okay.
I'd buy you a beer if I saw you in person.
Will he win it when Harry Kane comes to Manchester United? Let's see.
We'll see. And then let's see. All that we will take care of before we pass things off to our Chelsea connoisseur of crying into his chorizo, Ron, as he fills our craniums with calculated chilled beer news in this edition of Ron's Beer News. We should have called it Ron's Blue Beer News.
Right? I know, right?
And then we will finally finish out the pod with Ferris crying into his lederhosen as we cover a little the Bundesliga edition of the La Liga's roundup. A week later, didn't get any quicker.
I know. His hand was hovering over.
I was like,
all of it. Which one is it? Which one is it?
Exactly.
We're going to have to put some dry erase marker on there. But before we get started, gentlemen, let's do the beer, shall we? You guys are doing a repeat brewery.
Oh, yeah.
Get off.
One of the pod's favorites, one of our favorite breweries. Flying Monkeys makes a quadruple, triple, multi 10 times on the pod. Who the hell knows? They just have awesome freaking beer. So we decided to have them on the pod again. I think Ron and his wife were just back from Canada, so this might have been a freshly brought back brew from Canada, and it is pretty wicked.
Fresh that Ron is running to get it now. Oh, I can't get it.
No, we realized that our makeshift studio here, the door wasn't quite closed, so if you hear like a air fan in the background. But anyways, pretty cool can art. This beer is a DIPA, a double IPA, 8.3%, brewed in Canada, of course, and it is called Frosty the Friendship Dragon. And the can art is just wicked cool. All sorts of fun neon type colors and a cool looking dragon, and just absolutely wicked.
That's awesome.
On their site, flyingmonkeys.ca, you kind of scroll through their beers, and it's one of the ones that's right up there as it's one that they just kind of came out with. It says Frosty the Friendship Dragon Whipped Frosting Double IPA. Once upon a brew in a vast and ridiculous realm, our imaginary friend Frosty the Friendship Dragon wanted nothing to do with us. We begged and bribed this cool dragon with hops and vanilla and sweet words of the daring adventures we could have together, and with an eye roll of annoyance and a cool side glance, Frosty gave us this beer, then told us to go away.
So an interesting thing is I went to Total Wine about 2 months ago, maybe 3, and their selection of Flying Monkeys has gone from 2 beers to like 8 or 9 different beers. And the funny thing is, when we were in, my wife and I just got back from Canada like a week and change ago. We went to their Liquor Control Board of Ontario.
Oh, LICBO.
Yep, LICBO. And they could only get 3 beers from Flying Monkeys at the old LICBO. I was absolutely astonished that Florida, some like couple thousand miles away had a better selection than the Lickbo right there in the backyard of.
I mean, have you seen how many Canadian snowbirds are down there?
Right.
Yeah, but you would figure that you got to have something locally more than the normal three: live transmission, juicy ass, and chocolate manifesto, right? But hey, it is what it is.
They're so great.
It is what it is. I'll take it.
All right, gents. Well, it is time for me to crack into a style I absolutely love, but it is definitely a brewery I have never had before. As I roll on up to North London to crack open the Camden Hells from Mr. Ferris, delivered straight from London. The Camden Hells Lager, the official beer of Arsenal FC. What the Hells? Thanks for asking, their website says. Hells is the love child of our two favorite German beer styles. I don't know if I caught this from you last time, Ferris, but it's a Helles and a Pilsner, which that sounds fantastic. Classic, crisp, and refreshing. It's the beer we always wanted to drink and the reason we started our brewery. We hope you agree. And I'm going to pour it into my awesome Arsenal Pilsner glass you got me.
Heck yeah. You haven't... Because I was able to snag one can and bring it back.
In one can and one glass. And I haven't touched them, buddy.
And that's right. Wow, I forgot about that. And you could, and I kid you not, like in the terraces where we were at in Emirates Stadium, that's the only beer that you could get. Like they had their own beers. It's the only beer that you can get.
I'm super stoked. I sent a picture of this already to of the can to friend of the pod there, Jason Horn. So check this out, man, and send him the website. He was like, "What? That's awesome!" Yeah, I'm pretty stoked to try this, dude.
Nice,
I mean, let alone it's from Arsenal, but actually, like the style sounds right up my alley.
Yeah, no, the brewery was super cool in Camden, England. You know, that night turned into a heck of a lot of fun. We ended up going to some like bar that looked like a big like house party where we met an Australian that told us to go to Coyote Ugly, and we were doing shots of Jack and drinking Budweiser in Camden, England at a Coyote Ugly. So that good times. It all started off there at Camden Brewery.
When I drink this beer, I'll imagine you at Coyote Ugly.
It's so great.
They didn't have that beer there. They only had Bud Light, Miller Lite, like all of the U.S. beers. Like, how do we end up here in the middle of London drinking Budweiser? But winning Rome, I guess, right?
I'm stoked for this. The lager, 4.6 ABV,
yeah, dude.
Pearl Hallertau and tradition hops, Pilsner malt. Boom.
Enjoy, man. We going over the malts and stuff that are in our beer. Pale malt, 2-row pale ale malt, oat malt, and then hops are Idaho 7, Muteca, Amarillo, Citra, and I do not know how to say that. Ukanot? Sure, why not? Dry hopping with Amarillo, Muteca, and Ukanot, and then special editions, vanilla beans, and lemon puree. Wow, it's punched in a lot in this one.
Yeah, you got a lot of flavor. I have a very crisp, simple beer.
Yeah. And that is damn good. What'd you see there?
Did you read the back of the can?
I did not. You want to go ahead and read that? I read what there was on their site, but I did not read what was on the back of the can.
So on the can, dramatic roars of soft warmth expanding in the ethereal, lactose-laced body of this brew within airy pockets of the vanilla muffled with whispers of lemon, Amarillo, Montuca, Ukanot hops. Whip this chimerical frosting double IPA into a dreamy vessel of intensely pointless joy.
Chimerical needs to get worked into daily conversation.
Right? Had I seen this can, I would have put no clue what that word means, but I would have put that word into the opening of Ron's beer news somehow, because it's a C word, and that's what I was going for this round. Damn it.
And then they always put, I think this is cool from Flying Monkeys. They put their address of 107 Dunlop Street in Barrie, Ontario, Canada, on Earth, in the Milky Way, in the universe, to infinity.
What a fun brewery that
is. It's just so cool.
Yeah. And great poutine that we had about a year ago. Oh, so good.
I could house that right now.
All right. Here we go, gents.
All right, let's do this. Straight from London.
Ooh, it smells good.
Because I've just redone my office, one thing I realized I don't have my all my paper towels and stuff just in case of beer problems. So I got really nervous just now.
In case you have a beer malfunction.
Yeah.
Oh, you got the proper pint.
I did.
Oh. Pours a nice hazy gold
beautiful
color with really nice lacing of the head. A proper head.
I would
right
say
there.
so. It poured wonderfully.
Great head retention, as we always like to look at.
Holy cow. This thing really got a ton of head right at the very end. Probably because I've been sitting here with it for a little bit.
Right.
So it got a little warm. So it's a little bit of head, a lot of sap.
Cheers, gentlemen.
Cheers to our 8th, to the end of the Premier League season, to infinity and beyond.
Ooh, holy cow, is that got some depth.
That beer slaps you with alcohol, with hops, with vanilla, with lemon, with wow.
Ooh, yeah, that lemon taste in there is quite interesting.
That's great, dude. You're right. It's got that grassiness that you get on a Pilsner, but it's got a little bit more of that biscuitness with the malt vibe from that Helles. Dude, that's a really good beer.
It's a quality beer, yeah.
I mean, and it's definitely a sports day beer, right?
Oh,
I mean, like
it on a cold day in London, and we had gotten in there. We had walked up the stairs to the terrace up there. Immediately saw that sign, and I was like, Phil, I'm going to grab us 2 pints over here. When you're standing out there, and there's like a glass window that kind of circles around up there, and you can see the train going by out there, and just everybody in the just because you can't drink it out in the stadium. You have to drink it there before you go in. Everybody's just out there just drinking beer. I'm doing my best to try to blend into the crowd. But man, that beer tasted so good that day.
Not reveal your Man City kit that's like hidden under.
Yeah, Man United kit.
Or sorry, man. Thank you for my Freudian slip there. All right, gents.
Speaking of Man City,
I got to get good pictures of this one. That's a sexy beer, and it makes me very happy. I can taste
North London.
Yeah, which is a little bit bitter on the end from not quite doing it at the end. It's perfectly themed to the pod. Oh my gosh, dude. Well, I said it before. Thank you again so much for bringing this back from London, dude.
Brother.
Holy cow! And this will be one of those rinse that can out. She's gonna live in this office somewhere.
Heck yeah!
Until I get to go get my own. All right, gents. Well, let's move on to actually wrapping up this season. Gosh, we did this 8 times ago. We had no idea we were doing one little microphone between the 3 of us huddled around a pod with a couple of Guinnesses and a Pacifico.
Well, does everybody remember the beer they had?
I had Guinness, right? You had a Pacifico. Am I right?
I had a Pacifico.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I had a Guinness.
And I had Allagash White.
I believe so.
Yeah, it was like, it was pretty, because it was not planned. It was like, we're doing this. Let's go. You know, it was planned.
Well, it was loosely planned.
Yeah.
It was loosely planned to where I don't even know where we got the first mic from.
Well, I had it. I bought the Blue Yeti mic.
Well, that's right. Yep. And then
come to my house. We'll watch the games. And we'll do this.
Yep. And that was when what's his name knocked on the door.
Klinsman.
Yeah, you're gonna call Klinsman was knocking on the door. Like that.
He's our first guest star.
They thought someone left a package in the Man City or the Man United bathroom, and there was the bomb scare, which
that was a few seasons after. That wasn't the first season though.
That wasn't.
No, that wasn't the first season.
Wasn't us sitting around. That wasn't us huddled around.
No,
I thought
it
it
didn't
was
take long before we got all our old stuff, but it's kind of wild. And now who are doing it remotely? Ron's been in Norway and China, and we've recorded with him and stuff. We're so bougie.
COVID happened. All these things.
And from a Guinness to I have the Camden Hells brought directly from the brewery in North London. Thank you very much.
Don't forget, arguably the hardest beer for us to obtain, West Veletrin.
Yes.
My friend Sarah,
Sarah
correct?
brought it back. Yeah.
Sarah brought it back from Belgium, where you have to go actually to the monastery and buy it on that morning. You can't buy it in the local shops around. You can't.
I wanted you to make that way harder. I wanted to be like, you go to the monastery where you wrestle 3 successive monks in a row until you get to one that controls
Hop over the fire pit of hell, and then
guarded by a ring of nuns with rulers.
Right.
That's how you get to the final level, like Enter the Dragon. That's my version of the West Veletrin story. Anyway, we come a long ways, gents. Holy cow!
Yup. Good times, gentlemen. Good times.
Heck yeah! I'll drink to that before we kick this off. Cheers again, guys.
Cheers.
Oh, fair. Seriously, that beer is freaking great. I actually have some Hellas in the fridge that when this one's done, I'm gonna grab another because that's right. So normally Ferris is great, puts together all these puts together our content for us, and we have all this stuff to talk about the Premier League. But for this go round, we've just got the Premier League and the table. And so we're just kind of walk down the table and talk about the individual teams. Gents, try. I know it's so hard because so many of our choices for our best moments and best of stuff. It's hard not to go to it in depth because one of us is going to mention one of them already. I mean that someone else has picked, but we'll try to save those for the next section of the pod. So shall we just start at the top?
Sure. Let's run right down from first to 20th. Let's do it.
All right. First up, Man City. Are they going to become? They're on their first steps to become the Bayern Munich of the Premier League.
And the first that could possibly do a treble. This is the first of a potential 3. FA Cup next this coming Saturday, and then Champions League the following. So
it feels historic, doesn't it? Does that kind of frustrate you going to FA Cup match? It feels a little like
it's how do you stop the juggernaut that they've been, especially in the past 2 to 3 months of the season, where they've just been rolling. Haaland's been scoring, but getting outstanding play from Gundogan, from De Bruyne, from Jack Grealish, from the array of talent. Yes, they lost yesterday against Brentford, and they're the only team to beat them twice this season, by the way. But you looked at their squad. It was squad players. It was second teamers with a few names here and there. It's what I think the addition of Haaland has done is that Aguero times 10. Just a bigger target, good runs, wonderful finishing, powerful, strong. It gives your De Bruyne, your Gundogan, your Rodris, all of these that can ping a ball in, gives you a big target. Gives you put that ball into space, that big blonde lad is going to get right there and just do something incredible with the ball. And not only that, but you got to give Pep a lot of credit for how he set up the side throughout the course of the season, right? He made John Stones one hell of a center defensive midfielder.
Right?
Like, what?
And remember the conversations that were like, they can't play without a false 9?
Yeah. Right? And Ken Cisello, arguably the best right back in the league up until, let's send him to Bayern on loan.
Yeah. See ya.
You buy. And didn't skip a beat, so it's not just that, yes, they have fantastic, wonderful, world-class players, but how Pep sets up his squads and how he goes about games, the meticulous nature of that, right? We were talking a few weeks back. Haaland gave the pen to Gundogan, and Pep was yelling at him, and they were up 2-0 and looking like they were going to cruise in that game, and Haaland doing something nice for a teammate, and Pep's all over him. Like, no, you stick with the plan. You stick with you're the pen person that takes the pens. Take the pen. So that's the type of mentality. And who knows what the FA Cup's going to hold? As a United fan, and that's who they're going to play. It's a city, or it's a Manchester derby. am I going in with a lot of hopes that we're going to walk away with that? No. Anything's possible. That's why you play the games, and to prevent them from possibly a historic treble-winning season. Last team to do that was Manchester United in the 99 2000 year. But man, they certainly were pushed to the brink in this, and that they earned their third Premier League title in a row and fifth in the Pep era. So
Yeah.
wow.
And,
No, snuck in over the corner to give it a try. I was like, before this is gone, you need to try this beer. You're going to like it.
she's dancing like an Egyptian in the background.
So good.
Yeah, there's not much more you can. I mean, you can't. There's nothing really new to say about Man City, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they're just crushing it. They're just Man City.
Well, I mean, I guess this is after the FA Cup final and, Champions League. If they get all three, is Pep going to stay?
I tell you what, it'd be a hell of a farewell.
Oh God, right?
I think if he decides to leave, that might be an indication to the writing on the wall of the investigation that's going on. Not so much him wanting to leave.
Oh man, if you could nail the treble, even if you were like, look, man, I think we're fine. Only a 35% chance there's a problem, but you've just won the treble. It would be tempting.
But also, it's probably, if he's even pondering, kind of stepping away and doing some other things. I don't know that I would say retiring, but if he's just going to move on, that's the perfect time to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Do it while you're on top.
Exactly.
And
because
he doesn't strike me as a Mourinho type that's going to I'm going to keep doing this till I am just bitter and old and still. Pep feels like to me, he'd be like, all right, I'm done. Let's go live on a beach, man. Peace. I can see that.
I mean, what's going to be better than winning the treble, aside from becoming an international team coach and then going to win the World Cup and then retiring, right? Like that.
That's pretty much it.
So he's certainly not doing that with Man City. So
nope. Who knows?
Interesting. Well, good on him. I kind of hope he wins. I want to be around for something that historic.
And if we hit 5 years from now, 5 more seasons, we'll see when we hit 11. I know they won't do 11 like Bayern just did, but still, we'll see where they're sitting at in 11. Oof. Anything else about Man City? I mean, I'm sure they're going to come up in some of our stuff that we're going to cover, but especially, let's just go ahead and say it. One of our questions is always best player of the season. I don't know how you get away from.
Do we want to just say that now? Because mine's going to be Erling Haaland.
I mean, we'll save it. We'll save it. See if we get there. Maybe I'll surprise you. Maybe I won't. Say about it. Did you see him get his little award where he was like, "Hello, everybody, Haaland here from that American award or whatever it was." I'm like, just say I'll be back. Just do it. We all want to hear it. I need him to record something with the do from Terminator on it. And they end the season with 89 points.
Plus 61 goal difference.
Plus 61 goal difference. That is correct. A lot of goals. Next up, the runner-ups, Arsenal with 84 points and a 45 goal differential. Let's see, the next closest to the goal differential is 4th place, isn't it? I will get to them in a second. So Arsenal, they dropped the ball in the end, but a big improvement from the previous. Is this the 3rd full season of Arteta? 4 in total?
I think so. Second full season. I think, remember, he won the FA Cup when he first kind of came on there with Aubameyang towards the end of that one season. So I think it's his 2.5 seasons for him, if I'm not mistaken. And I said it on the last pod, there's a lot of facts with how Arsenal season went. Fact, they bottled it, right? They were 8 points ahead in April, led the league 248 days of of the Premier League season. There's only 365 days in the year, so you start doing the math. You take off for World Cup, for the summer, yada yada yada, and that's right around 75% of the season that they led. Fact, what an improvement on this season from league place to being back in the Champions League, first time since 2016 or something. Like, you can't knock the play of Odegaard, of Martinelli, of Saka, of I was going to get there. Reluctantly, I was going to get there. Of what Granit Xhaka, right? A brace on what could be his final game for Arsenal.
And what a turnaround for that player. He was getting red cards and being a hothead and getting thrown out for fighting and all that. And now he's relatively cool, calm, and collect.
Not a single red card this season. So, wow.
The future's bright for Arsenal.
And it is his third full season. He started December 20th, 2019.
Okay.
Because remember, since Christmas, no team scored.
Since April, no team's bottled it and or has led the most days in the Premier League and not won the Premier League. There's a fact for you. Every time you start throwing that one out, I'll throw out that one.
Yeah. Well, the other thing I will say is, like, they had a lead, and Man City still had 2 games in hand. I never, I just don't trust Man City when they're in the running for it.
I think
they've got too many pieces.
Well, not only that, I think it's easier to be the chaser than it is to be the leader throughout the season, right? When you have the ability to capitalize on the mistakes of the leader. I think it's easier to be in second place until a little later in the season to try and pull ahead.
And in fairness, it's also easier when you've been there before.
Yeah.
Like, Man City's been there before. They've had to chase down Liverpool. They've had to hold the title. They know what it's like in the later half of the season when you have to win the title. Bit easier doing that. You have Pep, you have all the players they do, but still they had to overcome that 8-point lead. Yes, they had some game in hands, but as I said earlier in the season, for Arsenal, it was going to come down to the 2 games that they played. And the 2 games that they played is what the difference in this was. 89 points, 84 points. If Arsenal win both of those games, they win the league. Points-wise.
But I think the way Man City plays those games, I mean, the team that should have won.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. To overcome the champs, you had to beat the champs, and that didn't happen.
Except math, it doesn't make that always true.
No, but math in this case certainly does. Like, that's 6 points.
But that was
you
my
then
point,
win the league by a point if things play out.
Well, Arsenal lost 6 matches. If they would have won 2 more of any of those matches, whether it was against Man City or not, they would have won.
True. But
so math doesn't make your point accurate.
You have to beat the champs to be the champs, and Arsenal did not do that in 3 tries, 2 in the league and 1 in a cup.
Or you have
you got embarrassed in that.
You just have to get more points than the team who won it the last time.
Had you got those 6 points,
or any 6 points,
true, but they didn't.
I just say you got to beat the teams on the bottom 3 of the table. That's what you got to do. and then apparently you're fine. I lost our content. Where'd it go? Boom. I should remember this though. Next up, we have Man United coming in third, 75 points and a 15 goal differential.
The worst in the top, 6?
Yeah, I was going to say, top 6.
That's a problem. Absolutely is. But defending our home form, if we were just taking the home points, we would be second in the league behind Manchester.
Since December, if you only took home points, you're saying.
Since this, right. So the home form, if you're going like who won the most at home in terms of points, Man City first, Man United second, Arsenal third, Liverpool fourth, Newcastle fifth, Villa sixth. All of those clubs in and around the top 6. So that home form is overly.
Where's Chelsea? Are we relegated?
Chelsea.
Do you want to take a nap
You'll be
on?
at 15th. 15th on home form alone.
Yeah. We'll get there in a sec.
But you know what? What an absolute season for Eric Ten Hag in his first season. That home form making it a fortress again. Yes, some problems with scoring goals. That's where the summer can become overly important. We joked about it with Kane, the number one target. Who knows if that's going to happen or not? I'd be over the moon if it does happen. But you got 30 goals from Marcus Rashford, first 30 goal scorer for Man United since RVP did it. In the title winning seasons, several seasons back in Sir Alex's, reign. Just unbelievable what Ten Hag did and how he set this side up throughout the year. What a great season when you consider they dropped the first two out the gate, got hammered by Brighton to start, got beat by Brighton to start, and then got hammered by Brentford, and that's when the reports came out that they immediately got back and he ran laps with them after that game. By the end of the second week, they were in last place in the league and crawled up the table from there and pretty much stayed around that 3 to 6 spot the entire time. Got enough points. They needed a point from the last two games to secure Champions League point. They got all 6. Yes, both games are at home. That's a big thing, but to be back in the Champions League, to go through Ronaldo, remember that saga that occurred? To go through those 2 devastating losses, your first 2, to out the gate. So all in all, fantastic season, and could win a second piece of silverware on Saturday. We'll see.
Yeah, the whole Ronaldo thing feels like
ages ago,
like last season, right? With that World Cup break in the middle, kind of made it 2 seasons.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, and that's nothing too, right? This is a weird season. We had a World Cup in winter in the middle of it.
Yeah.
Yep.
True.
Which we said, how is that going to factor into things? That storyline kind of faded away because most teams kind of stayed ish where they were. I don't know. Maybe that's another retrospective to kind of look back at. Maybe someone will really take a deep dive into it, but it didn't shake things up too much coming out of the World Cup. It just was weird. We don't have a list for most improved team of the season, but this is definitely them. In fourth, Newcastle United getting 71 points and a 35 goal differential gets them to the Champions League. And since how long? I mean, it's been a bit.
Yeah, and I don't even think they actually got into the Champions League proper then. They were knocked out in the qualification tournaments stage. What Eddie Howe has done, similar to Ten Hag, but even Howe's been there with Bournemouth. He knows the league, but just what a turnaround from, they have some signings that were brought in this summer, but nobody really big. I mean, Alexander Isak was about the biggest, and he played maybe about half the season, had a great impact, but Callum Wilson, Miguel Almiron all had great seasons, and they were there prior to him. So you look what he did with that squad, and absolutely deserved to be in that top 4 and to have Champions League nights back at the way up north there. And Newcastle at St. James Park is going to be absolutely awesome come next season.
They'll be fun to watch.
Absolutely will be.
I can't wait to see what they're going to do in the summer.
Right?
Because they didn't go bonkers with money.
Nope. And there's a lot of teams that went down that have some players that they could poach.
Well, I mean, what teams went bonkers with money? Come on. What are you talking about?
Well, we have to wait till we get down to 12th to go over that scenario.
We gotta wait till we get to the bottom half of the table for that one. Although you're not wrong, Ferris. There are certain teams that definitely went down that could have sold players that are going to go away for free this summer.
Yeah.
Exactly.
They could have sold players to try to shore things up, and now they are gone. Thank you. Jolly did do. Arsenal just wanted Tielemans. That's all. Over. They were like, nope. Well, there you go. Moving on down to 5th place, Liverpool, 67 points and a 28 goal differential. Gosh, that goal differential really makes it feel like they should be higher than that, right? But of course, that's what happens when you beat Bournemouth.
9 losses on the season, though. And 10 draws.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
just
what
had
hurt them.
that massive dip in the middle of the season.
Yep.
Right. They started strong, finished strong, but that midpoint of the season, they were just. It was like they're.
Yep.
It was like they were being coached by not Klopp.
Yeah, and some injuries to start the season, that sort of thing. One of the things I found interesting is the Premier League put out, at least with like the top 10 teams, this like chart that shows like a line chart that moves that shows each of the top 10 teams' progress throughout each match week of the season. And we said it on an earlier pod, but Liverpool's legit looked like just an EKG chart of just up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. It was so chaotic that was their season. They would blow teams away, right? 9 goals against Bournemouth and then lose 1-0 away to Nottingham Forest.
Right.
Like just these random weird, like even this last game of the season.
Yeah.
They were up 2-0, then got tied 2-2 by Southampton, by the way. Had 0 to play for except for pride because they were already going down. Then Southampton go up 4-2, and then Liverpool scored 2 and make it 4-4. You're like, what the hell? Yeah. But that game and that last game summed up their entire season as a whole, where they were great at times, bad at times, and in the end, we're just kind of draw.
Yeah.
That was their season.
A very inconsistent team.
Yep.
And I think it leads well into Team 6, Brighton Hove Albion, coming in 6th with 19 goal differential and 62 points. And what I mean is, this being a good segue, is it is going to be harder to guarantee a top 4 spot, because look at the top 6 we have, and we have Aston Villa on the rise. Top Spurs aren't even in this, and Chelsea is not going to stay in the bottom half of the table,
right,
for seasons like this. Top 6 race, it's going to be spicy for a bit moving forward, because that'd be tough to, if you look at the top 8 right now and said, where do those guys go next year? Other than saying Man City is probably up top, you can shuffle everybody down.
What I will say is you look at the teams that are up there, right? Man City, Arsenal, Newcastle, Liverpool. All those teams are going to be playing 2 times a week, have kind of the squads, the double depth there to compete on those. You look at like a West Ham this season, who was in Europe for the first time. Look where they ended up with playing that many. Now, they may win the Europa Conference League, but it cost them. They were almost they had to win a couple of late games there, so they weren't in the talk of going down. So will these teams grab that kind of depth to play multiple 2-game a week? That's going to be the question. But Brighton Hove in Europe, what fantastic to the Amex, well earned. Roberto De Zerbi, arguably the manager of the season. That's after Potter left.
Yeah,
like just what a job he did with this squad.
Not only Potter, but half of Potter's staff, and then a whole bunch of front office people left and went mostly to Chelsea.
Yeah, and he stayed a part of that. Like absolutely crazy.
Because they were all good at Brighton. So who was the real person doing this when they all left? They went to Chelsea. It's so weird to me. But Brighton and Hove, like, fantastic, right? Fantastic season. Fun to watch play.
Yeah, they play such a fun style of football, and you can never count them out.
Yep. And can they hang on to everybody, though? That's going to be the question. McAllister's probably gone. Will people go after Sully March? Will people go after that young kid Ferguson? We'll see. But what a job Brighton done, and to have Europe at the MX next season is going to be a lot of fun to watch. And same with number 7.
Villa.
Yeah, number 7, Aston Villa at 61 points and a 5-goal differential. Another candidate for manager of the year. I mean, when did him start this season, and he turned Aston Villa completely around. Matthew Call texted me, "We're in Europe." Just wow, what a wild run they had.
And he didn't make
well deserved.
He didn't from a personnel change standpoint. There was not much changed.
No big signings came in
the
winter.
Same group of people he picked up.
In fact, Danny Ings, wow. Both Brighton and Villa, not a lot that came in that December when some other teams retooled a bit, and what jobs their managers, players, and just overall club has done, both playing in Europe. Despite it being Europa Conference League or Europa, it's still European play with playing against European clubs. that's big when you're talking the Premier League and just what it brings to the town and to your fans and stadium.
And Emery started late October, just prior to the World Cup break. He barely was there before the break.
Yep.
And they were looking so dire.
Wild. Do you know who looked dire, though?
More dire than that?
Go on, Blake. Say it. I know you want to say this next one.
I know I didn't want to be that harsh, but St. Totteringham's Day came this year.
Was like in December, right? Like, that's what it seemed.
And
September 12th.
The Tottenham Hotspurs in an 8th place with 60 points on the year and a 5-goal differential. That differential seems abysmal.
7, yeah.
Oh, sorry. I went down one too far. Sorry, 7. 7-goal differential. Still sounds abysmal to me, considering the striking talent and
I've been seeing a lot of things that like Harry Kane is actually really good. He scored 30 goals in this Tottenham side.
Right.
Like, holy crap.
Yeah. I think it all comes down to ownership, coaching problems, and then a complete lack
real
of
recruitment, like just
of
scouting.
Player confidence.
Yep.
There's when I say the ownership, I mean that they are not opening the purse for anything, and so there's no fresh talent. There's no fresh ideas. There's no fresh what's the word I'm looking for? There's no fresh, camaraderie between the players, and there's no new ideas on the field at all. And Son in a huge slump, Harry Kane picking off what he can when he can, midfield that really resembles a colander, and a defense that is Swiss cheese at best on most days.
Yep.
So the summer is going to be super important for them to, kind of get their heads out of their backsides and figure it out. Or they're just, I to be honest, I think they're lucky that they made it to 8th.
Agreed.
I sent you a mean tweet in our chat thread. It's harsh, but it says the fact that Newcastle will get Champions League, Brighton will get Europa League, and Aston Villa will get Conference League, while Spurs and Chelsea get nothing is embarrassing. I actually wouldn't loop Chelsea into that because they're having
systemic problems.
It's a totally different situation of problems. This team has great players, had a good manager. That's wild.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's crazy that the under 18s won this season outright, and Harry Kane has still not won anything for Tottenham, right?
Well, he's going to win a Champions League with Real Madrid next year. There you go.
Man United.
No. He's going to be part of the Chelsea revival as we go one for Romelu
I'd
Lukaku.
be so angry if that happens.
£200 million for 3 years or whatever.
Oh, 20 years. I'd be so angry.
You got him till he's 50.
Yeah, right.
I want to hear that pod when he is signed.
So angry.
Oh, if that happens, Ferris and I are just going to line up beers in front of us.
I'm going to do shot for shot. I'm going to be so angry. I will drink away all of it. Oh my God.
Drink it, right? That's ridiculous. Friggin' ridiculous. Okay. From C+, from C- we go to B+ for the B's. Is that anything?
All right.
There you go. That's the early dad joke for you. As the Brentford Bees come in 9th with 59 points. Gosh, if only they could have just a couple more would have been great. With a 12-goal differential. Brentford, they could have been Brighton.
Well,
they also were
yes, but they could have been Villa. It seems a bit harsh for them to be in 9th this season they've had, right? Had they won and Villa and Tottenham not won, or only gotten draws, or no. Yeah, they would have, had Villa and Tottenham not won and Brentford won, they would have been playing in Europe this season.
Because they had them on the goal differential.
Right, but both Tottenham and Villa won their last games. All three of them won their last games. But what a season. Just always tough anytime you have to play against Brentford. Just ask Man City. I mean, it is not an easy win. Liverpool fans laughing when Brentford beat United 4-0, and then they get beat by a similar score line.
Yeah.
The second half of the season. It's like this Brentford team is stingy. They're tough. Now, they're not going to have Ivan Toney for a large part of next season because he was indicted on, indicted through the FA, banned for eight months on gambling charges and that sort of thing. So he will not be able to play for 8 months.
He bet his own team would lose.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting.
He wasn't in it.
It'll be interesting to see the day he is allowed to walk in for practice, how that locker room is going to treat him.
Especially if Brentford is freaking out in the meantime for a striker or from a goal scorer, what a mess. What a good player. Like,
yeah, and kind of interesting. He played a majority while the news was coming out with this, up until the sanctions were actually handed down. So it makes you wonder how well kept the FA kept this, how well kept he kept this. That did his players know that he bet against them when he wasn't in the squad? Very interesting, and that could throw some turmoil. And we might not see Brentford up this high next season, or it may be kind of a catalyst for them having an even better season next season.
And then what's Ivan Toney going to do afterwards? Right? He's basically got a black spot on him. So
welcome to the MLS, baby.
Yeah, does he go? He's got to go somewhere else.
I don't know.
Right?
He could go back and everything could be fine, and he could return to form, or who knows? Maybe he gets a move somewhere. Maybe he gets a move over to Spain or France or Italia.
With
who knows?
I don't know what his contract is currently left on it, but with a ban that long, they also could afterwards throw him on loan somewhere to come back, come back up to starting ability and just see how things go, I suppose.
It's going to be interesting to see how this all unfolds for him. Because the sad thing is he's a pretty talented lad.
Yeah.
Absolutely. He's got great instincts. He plays well on the ball, and he's got a really good cannon for a leg.
Yep. Absolutely.
Hopefully turns this around. Speaking of hard things to do, we just talked about how basically the top 9, a lot of things could have changed. Like this is getting in this top half is going to be tough, and Fulham pulls it off and comes in 10th for the season as they get 52 points with a 2-goal differential.
That's a big deal. Of the positive goal difference.
The positive goal difference. This is a big deal. When was Fulham promoted?
This season.
This is the first season since I forget. It's been a long time.
They came up and then immediately went back down. Yeah,
but this is the first time that all 3 promoted clubs have survived in a very long time.
Correct. And great season for Fulham. The big thing here, not a lot of draws. 15 wins, 16 losses, but only 7 draws. Picked up points when they needed to. Pretty consistent play all season. Tough team to play against. Some good players. When Mitrovic wasn't suspended, he was putting in goals. Andreas Pereira had himself a fantastic year. That move over from Manchester United to Fulham was absolutely great. Willian, even played well for him. Bobby something Reed. But no, Fulham definitely earned a top half of the table, and yes, you can say they're middle of the table, but to be on a positive goal differential, be above 50 points and be in that 10th spot, absolutely awesome for the Cottagers.
Now, starting here at 11th on down, I'm not even trying to be a jerk. This was all slightly relegation fight.
Up until 75-year-old Roy Hodgson came in and put Crystal Palace above Chelsea for the first time ever in the Premier League.
Yep.
Sorry, I just tapped the table they were on, but that's 75 years old and beat 10, 13-year contract Chelsea. What Roy Hodgson did to have Palace up that high when they were in, as Blake was alluding to, that relegation battle, and above Chelsea for the first time ever in a Premier League. That's pretty impressive.
45 points and a -9 goal differential. There's one more -9, and then it just starts to get a lot worse.
Yes, it does.
There as you
Boy,
work
does
your way. Yeah, I mean, Crystal Palace at one point very much looking like these dudes are going to go down for sure. And, you know, their manager, a prior manager, Vieira, like, had looked like a good pick as a manager for them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then just, I don't know, they had a really rough.
And
really
Roy
rough
came in like
go.
February, because when I saw Palace and United play at Selhurst, Patrick Vieira was on the sidelines there. So that was late January.
Yeah.
So it was quite a big turnaround, because Palace was in and around those 18th through any of the spots for sure, and just what a job he did. Wow, good for Palace. Let's talk about the other team in
Moving
jolly
right
old London
to number 12, good old Blues, Chelsea, come in with 44 points and a -9 goal differential. Now, I'm curious to know, because we've talked a lot about Chelsea up until this episode. I'm curious to see Ron's take on the season that doesn't necessarily rehash some of the things like we said. What I want to know what the takeaways. What are the takeaways from the Chorizo champion?
You know, to be honest, I think I am at the spot where I remember saying this to Ferris about Manchester United, and the first 2 or 3 times I said it, he was like, no, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. And then eventually he came around. You got to sell it all. You just got to start over. I mean, the club
But it makes it a little hard to start over when everybody's on 10-year contracts.
I mean,
You can't really.
You're bringing in a new manager, and he's going to have to.
Who is that, Ron?
Pochettino. Signed today.
Pochettino. Oh my goodness.
I can't wait. I like Poch a lot. I think he's going to be great for Chelsea. I seriously, honestly do. I think he's going to be fantastic for Chelsea.
I think he is great if you want to play mediocre football and not win.
I bet you he doesn't get you in 12th next year.
Nah, 11th.
Hey,
10th. It's a step up.
Every step up the table will help. Whether it's 11th, whether it's 10th.
Yeah, I mean, look, he is better than what we have now. Okay, I grant you that. He is better than what we have now.
Whoa. Don't talk so rough of the downtrodden Frank Lampard. But that freaking tweet killed me. I feel gutted for Frank. He tried to relegate 2 teams this year and got to Chelsea too late.
That's pretty entertaining. I mean,
poor guy.
And he says after all of this that he's not turned off to the managerial pursuits. And I don't know. I think if I were him, I think this is probably the universe's way of saying, hey, maybe you should become a pundit or
get into commentary, my friend.
Do anything else.
You know what's going to happen? He said that so that when they fire Poch 2/3 the way through next season, or he just is like, I'm out, they'll bring him back in. He comes off a vacation and coaches a little bit, has some fun, and then they interims it again. He'll just be the interim guy.
He's our new Gus Hiddick.
Oh my gosh. Right. Yeah. Frank Lampard's Gus Hiddick.
Either that or Frank Lampard. LA Galaxy welcome Frank Lampard as manager. You can see that type of thing happening.
Yeah.
But I agree. Just be a pundit or a commentary, my friends. Start yourself a podcast. Yeah, you probably have a great podcast.
Come on ours. You seem like a good chap.
Yeah,
I know you like beer.
Yeah, there's a lot going on at Chelsea. We got to sell a lot of players. And
you just have to sell at least 3 right now, right? At least 3 by July 1st or something, don't you?
So by the end of June, we have to sell 4 players. So, I mean, we have a variety of people who are going to be moving on, right? as much as I don't want Pulisic to go and I want him to thrive at Chelsea, he's got to go on because he's not getting any playing time, and that's not doing anything for the U.S. international team.
And he's already getting some attention elsewhere, I believe.
Yeah. Mendy's going to go.
I feel bad for Ron, so I'm just going to get a second beer.
Yeah, I already got our second. As soon as we're done with this, then
Mendy's got to go. Azpilicueta's going to go. I mean, we've got a bunch of people moving on. So there's nothing to say about Chelsea other than I guess we'll see what happens in the summer.
You know who doesn't have to go that's already been gone but was playing for the team right below you? Diego Costa.
Yeah.
Wolves.
Yep.
Frank's old buddy.
Yeah.
The Wolverhampton Wanderers come in at lucky number 13 with 41 points, negative 27 goal differential. The thing about the Wolves is, how did they not get relegated? They are so lucky. This is a season that they are in.
Yeah, that a lot of other teams were a lot worse than them
because they looked very dire. In fact, in a way, West Ham United being under Wolves at 14th kind of sucks for West Ham. I feel like they're a better club.
I agree.
Than the Wolves.
And
I agree.
They brought Diego Costa in to do what exactly?
No clue.
Because, I mean, he didn't really do much.
No clue. But Lopetegui set them up well. They were like the opposite end of the spectrum, Liverpool, where they were rocky up and down, but the downs were more plaguing. Down. And, it never really fully clicked. Now, for them, it clicked in the last 2 months of the season, which is what got them up in that position and more into the safety realm. But still, 41 points, just above that 40 line. Oof, tough.
Barely.
And West Ham, they have a Europa. They're in 15th. And they have a Europa
14th.
Conference 14th. Sorry, and they have a Europa Conference League coming up final, right?
Yes, they do.
When is that played? Does anybody know?
It's soon, but West Ham, as you mentioned, they come in 14th. They were on 40 points and negative 13 goal differential. The Wolves with negative 27 goal differential. That is just brutal. But negative 13 for West Ham. And they had sparks of being better.
Yeah.
And just would deflate. It's a very weird season for them.
Yeah, and their final is in a true Europa Conference League fashion on a Wednesday. Wednesday, June 7th, about 3 p.m. our time against Fiorentina.
On channel UHF 72.
It's 3,700, yeah.
You can only get it by tuning your rabbit ears to the right.
Twisting those just about
with your tinfoil balls on the top of the antenna.
You got to use that second dial, not even the first dial. Kids today don't know about that second dial.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God.
We're old.
Depressing. I just made myself feel old. I want to jump into this other beer, guys. I mean, I don't have much to say about it. You gave me a Helles Fairs.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to go with another Helles from Schultzbrau. This might be the best beer they have. This is fantastic.
It's a Hell's kind of night.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Just moving on. So, speaking of raising a little Helles, AFC Bournemouth, they come in at 15th. Now, somehow, we talk about 13th and 14th going, you're wretched. 15th for Bournemouth, that was really good for them because they had a very bad season and then turned it around to get, let's see, now this is getting low enough, it's hard to find, 39 points for the end of the season, a negative 34 goal differential. The only team with the worst goal differential is last place with negative 37.
Yeah.
And somehow Bournemouth managed to survive. They lose 9-0 to Liverpool. And
earlier in the season, yeah.
Maybe harshly, their coach gets fired. I say harshly out of the they just haven't been good. What did you expect? Now, in the end, the new guy, they survive, and they survive. I'm not going to say comfortably, but they could chill out those last week or two because they knew that they were safe. That's a big deal for Cherries to stay in.
But also they beat teams they had no business beating or drawing. They beat Fulham 2-1 on April 1st. They beat Liverpool March 11th 1-0.
Tottenham, Leicester.
They drew Newcastle. So it was like they were really good at fighting the harder teams and not being able to handle anybody lower in the table.
They had this string, starting in April with like 2 games won, 1 game lost, 2 games won, and between those games and then that Fulham and Bournemouth game, those are the points that really secured them, right? 5 games, 3 points, 15 points there between April 1st and April 30th. I mean, massive month for them was April.
Yeah,
absolutely.
They also beat Everton earlier in the season.
Yeah,
only to lose to them on the last day. But
yeah, but American owner, part of American ownership there now, and that it's American ownership when on their shirt sleeve it says DeWalt.
Yep.
Hey, buddy.
Did anyone else think that was kind of a NASCAR?
I love it.
NASCAR kit.
I love it.
DeWalt.
Ferris?
Yes.
This Schultzbrow, the German brewery I like so much in Knoxville, this Helles is awesome. And it's a typical Helles style. So good.
I keep this scarf here because I cannot wait to go to it someday.
I love that you got the scarf up there. It makes me happy. That Camden Helles is so good. I think it's better.
It's good.
That's not knocking the one I'm having. It's fantastic.
It's good.
That thing's really good, man. I was kind of excited to sneak another Helles in right on top of it to compare it. Good. This is great, but damn, that thing was good. Speaking of good, there was a rich man from Nottingham who went across the river. What a dip. He slipped on a trip. Now look at him quiver. It's time for Nottingham Forest coming in 16th, 38 points, negative 30 goal differential. Again, kind of like Bournemouth, at 16th, looking like a really good achievement. And as we mentioned, all this would finish up the last of the newly promoted leagues or newly promoted teams to the league.
Wonderful job from them down the stretch, right? Steve Cooper had this team just kind of up and down all year, but always playing tough and just never quite knew what you were going to get. But going back, big wins late April, 3-1 over Brighton, then a 4-3 at Southampton, a 2-2. They won the week before last against Arsenal. That 1-0 win against Arsenal is what secured their place. Some big wins, essentially from the start of May, is what kept them in this league. And, who knows where they'll be next season, but to come up, to stay up, for Steve Cooper to be in that job all season long, kind of a testament with a lot of changes, right? Because they went in the January transfer window, made some big changes. And some of those big changes had a big effect, right? We talked last week of Keylor Navas and goal and the job that he did. So just a wonderful job from them. Good for them to secure another place, and look forward to seeing the City Ground again next season.
The big question about Nottingham, did Jay Lings start a single game after the World Cup?
I have no clue. I don't even know if he's still on the squad.
He was. Yeah, he's still on there.
God bless him.
He's a sub, but he came in relatively on fire because
little bit.
Nottingham.
But that's when they were bad. But when they were good, he wasn't playing.
Well, that's kind of where I was going with that. But he just kind of disappeared. He was supposed to be the big thing for them, and then where'd he go? Probably messing around on Instagram.
The old Snapchat machine.
You sure he was actually in England this last month and a half?
Yeah, right.
Maybe.
I'm not 100% positive. And now,
I can't believe
to maybe the luckiest team in the league, and it would have been a catastrophic. It would have been a catastrophic loss for them, a massive loss for Premier League in terms of size of club. I sent you guys that thing that said that they were in the top 20 most, valued clubs.
Yeah.
Everton at 17 with 36 points and negative 23 goal differential. They did their best to get relegated.
Once again, by the way.
Once again. Yeah, but this time, well, I know it did go down.
It went
to the
down
wire.
to the second last game last season. Went down to the last game this season.
So what does that say? Next year, am I just going to go ahead and do my prediction that Everton's on that list for
Might as well.
my bottom three?
And you say catastrophic, the amount of money they've spent on this squad, the amount of debt that they're in, the plans to build a new stadium that are in full effect, catastrophic to go down. And who knows how far they could have kept going down if they did go down. But
because if they get hit with financial fair play, which that was the concern, if they drop and the financial fair play hits them, because they've basically, I know that sounds confusing because to those you listening, because you might just think, wait a minute, I thought Man City because they're spending so much money, or Chelsea, with all the money. This is the situation where Everton has posted losses more than you're allowed to post, which is just basically a way they're supposed to do it so that a team can't post losses, but for so many years, because they don't want insolvent teams in the league. Well, if they had gotten tagged and dropped down, administration was a possibility. So this is one of those that, look, it was cool to see everybody cheering, but so many people that were talked to that were Evertonians that were just like, I'm celebrating, but this isn't good at all. This isn't good at all. It's not even like last time where it was like a big celebration. You know what I mean? When they barely squeaked by. This feels worse. This is like, this feels like you dodged a bullet as opposed to winning, barely getting, relegated and enjoying a next to last final match. They're in trouble.
We'll see what Dyche has to what he has to do over the summer to shore up the squad to keep them out of the relegation battle for next season.
And he looks all for it. Great post-match. Great talking about, hey, this offseason is going to be massive for us. We have to work. We have to do a lot of things. It seems like he's absolutely up for the job. And, kudos to Everton, who haven't made the best decisions in terms of managers or signings for the club. But this signing was crucial for them, and it paid off. And I'm happy for Sean Dyche. What a gent, what a manager. And you can just tell he works hard for his job, works hard for his players, and for any club that he's at. And he was a massive part as to why they are staying up.
Yeah, I agree. Ginger Mourinho kept them up.
They need to get out of his way. Whatever he wants, just let him do this.
Yeah, trust him and let him go.
Trust him, and then try to fight for 11th place. Because I just don't. If they came in 11th next year, that'd be like an enormous improvement. Because they dire.
I mean, anything, in my opinion, anything not worried about being relegated, a nice, comfortable season where they're not worried about being relegated would be a huge change of pace for them.
Absolutely. This leads us to the team that we first talked about being champions of the Premier League for our very first episode, wrapping up the 2015-2016 season. The lovely Foxes of Leicester City bid adieu to the Premier League as they almost do what they need to survive the final day. For a moment, they were above Everton and were going to survive for a hot second during the day. But they leave in 18th place with 34 points and negative 17 goal differential. They came in 18th, but I'll be honest, guys, and I include Southampton in this. To me, they felt worse than Leeds and Southampton. There was Southampton would lose, but looked like they were fighting for it. Yeah. Leicester had games where it just looked like they did not show up. They did not care at all. It was really weird to watch them play. Leeds would try and just couldn't pull it off. They didn't have enough defenders. Southampton just didn't have enough quality. Leicester City had quality. There's no reason they should have been relegated with who's on their team. I'm not saying they should have been in the top six, but when you look at some of the team they have compared to some of those above them, Bournemouth, for example, we were just talking about, West Ham. I don't know that this was a weird capitulation of a season for Leicester.
Agreed.
Yeah.
What do you think happens manager wise?
Who's the manager now again? Exactly.
Gosh, I had to think about
it's still the no, it was what's his name from Villa? Dean was brought in to the end of the season. So something Dean.
Yeah, man.
Blake, help me out.
Dean Smith.
Dean Smith. There you go. Yeah.
But he always throws off because that's the coach of the UNC Tar Heels.
Yes, it does. But he was brought in to see the rest of the season out and did not have that Sean Dyche effect. And it's sad to see them go down, but they didn't deserve it. It's the totality of the season. They did not deserve to stay in the league.
If Leicester had survived, Everton gone down, that would have felt really hard done. If it had been Leeds that leapt up and pushed Everton down, it would have bothered me less, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that sucks.
What is
it was great, but
where's Vardy going? Is he going?
No, I think he stays. At his age, he didn't really feature a whole lot.
Right.
He was mainly an off the sub, so where does he go in the Premier League? He's not going to start. He might be an off the sub player for a mid-table to lower table team. I just think that
he also could just finish out Leicester. He could stay there.
That's what I'm thinking he does. Yeah.
Yeah. And that, be kind of cool, actually. Yeah, that was kind of depressing, though, because that was kicking off the pod. So Leicester, hopefully they turn things around. It also sucks because they had that tragedy of their owner dying in the helicopter crash. And boy, I swear, like the team and club just feels like it has continued to dwindle since that happened. Not necessarily saying that correlation is causation, but it's just kind of a sad bit of circumstances all surrounding the Leicester City situation.
Maybe the drive and the heart, kind of have dwindled without his kind of leadership and stewardship for the club.
I hope they fight their way back. I'm a little scared they're going to struggle next year too. Leeds United in 19th, 31 points, negative 30 goal differential. Hold on. Where's the goal scored? Is that on this list?
Four,
Leeds.
yeah. Four and
So 48 goals for. This is this is higher than a lot of clubs above them. Leicester City had 51. But goals against at 78. They just could not defend at all.
This was kind of a bit of a tale of two seasons, kind of like we were talking about earlier, where the World Cup just interrupted. And I feel like Leeds lost their mojo and could not get it back after the World Cup. I feel like they were feistier. They were playing with more heart, with a little more intelligence, and a bit more as a team before the World Cup than after.
Yeah, and I don't think we'll ever actually know the answer to this. I mean, we won't. We won't know the answer to this. But was firing Jesse Marsch the right call there? You allowed him to get through the January transfer window. He was able to bring in McKennie and a few others, and didn't give him a whole lot of time after that. I think it was like 1 week after, or 2 weeks.
Yeah,
it was short.
And then now you went through a merry-go-round of managers, which led you to Sam Allardyce, who hasn't been, so like very chaotic, very weird, very undecisive. And Leeds, another team, didn't really deserve to stay in the league because of all of those factors. And yes, they had some injuries early on that really hurt them, but they still had talent there enough to where they should have stayed in the league. And from Bielsa to I just said his name. Oh my God. Marsch.
Oh, I was like,
Marsch to a two-headed monster that took over Leeds that were Marsch's assistants to Sam Allardyce. It's just a mess. And hopefully...
And they brought in Sam with 4 weeks to go.
Like, what the hell? Very, very weird. So, like,
that's way too late.
Right.
If they brought Sam Allardyce when they can Jesse Marsch, slightly different story.
Correct.
Yeah.
4 matches before it's done. I mean, that's ridiculous.
And a $2 million or $6 million incentive to keep them up.
Something like that. Like, it just. Hopefully, Leeds doesn't go into that tailspin that they did back in the early 2000s, where they just were in dire shape, and that revolved around of a lot of overspending and that sort of thing. Not necessarily, it's not something here, but hopefully we see them back. It's good to have Leeds in the league as much as I'm not a fan of them, and there's a rivalry there between Man United and them. But you want those Ellen Road fans, and you want Ellen Road to be in that Premier League kind of merry-go-round of clubs that teams have to go to. So we'll see what they do in the championship.
Summer's going to be huge.
It's a grind, yep.
Right? Does Weston McKennie stay?
No, not after the treatment that he got from the fans of calling him fat and everything else, and just they were brutal to him. And I don't think he will. I don't think he should. Aaronson's probably gone as well.
Yeah, they're good.
But this is another good example of Leicester, and more so Leicester than Leeds. But these clubs had an opportunity to try and sell some players and shore things up to limp through a season, and they did not. They did not take that opportunity. Really,
they did not.
Good luck. Good luck in the basement next year, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, good luck, because you got some teams that didn't quite make it this year that you got to fight through. That's going to be tough. And this leads us to, how many times did Ron pick Southampton to get relegated?
Every single
every year.
Up until this season.
Up until this season. Every single season before, I'm like, this is Southampton's year. They're going down. How can they possibly stay up?
So
and so I change it this year.
That's so funny.
Jerks.
As soon as you didn't pick them, I thought, well, that's it, guys.
Right,
They're gone.
The universe is
they're toast.
paying me back.
Sorry, Southampton fans. It's all Ron Keller's fault. They come in at 20th with 25 points, negative 37 goal differential. So it's funny. We have all this to kind of say. I don't know how you guys feel about this. About 17th Everton, 18th Leicester, 19th Leeds. When it gets to Southampton, I don't really have much to say because, you just didn't have a ton going for you.
I mean, what's crazy is the people that they beat and they drew, they didn't have any business beating or drawing. It's like they were really good at cracking certain teams, and then if it was the extreme top of the table or the extreme low part of the table, they were terrible. I mean, they swept West Ham, they drew Tottenham once, beat Tottenham once, they beat Chelsea both times, they drew Arsenal, they drew West Ham, they beat West Ham. It's so interesting, the teams they could beat or draw and the teams they couldn't. I don't understand what happened to them.
Just not enough goals. They were relying on the set piece master James Ward-Prowse.
Good job, John Madden.
Thank you. Gotta have goals to win the game. But as basic as it sounds, minus 37 goal difference, right? Only 36 goals. That is less goals than games they played.
Yeah.
You look at the top of the table. Manchester City goals 4, 94. Arsenal goals 4, 88. Difference between first and 20th, that is as easy and is spelled out as that. Not enough goals.
Now, Ferris, I'll say, though, Everton 34, they had less.
But we talked how lucky they were. I mean, 31 from Wolves, but also coupled, neither of them had 25 losses on the season.
Yeah.
That is, in only 6 wins, the least amount of wins. It still translates to goals in a way. And even in those games, they never really beat teams by 4-0 to get up. It's just tough for them. They just not. It was their year to go down. It's been knocking at the door for a while, and the year they went, you know what? Screw Ron Keller. You picked us every year. You know what? We're going to prove you wrong this year.
The real question is, does James Ward-Prowse stay or go?
I think he probably goes. Question is who does he go? Does he come back to the Premier League? And if so, with who? I don't know.
I'm sure we'll find out in the summer.
Well, that carries us through the table. So we get to our bestest of the bestest.
Bestest of the bestest. And Ron and I are going to indulge in another beverage prior to that. Blake, you're going to be surprised. I'm having a Pacifico.
Excellent.
As I did 8 seasons ago.
So we are definitely doing favorites of the night, and Ron has got a classic out there.
This is probably one of my classic, comfort beers. A Boddington's Pub Ale.
Man, you make me want one of those. It's been a while since I've had a Boddington's. And on the pull draft when you're in the UK.
Yep. Oh, they're so good.
That was like the big pull draft right at the Cricketers Arms, the pub, the pub that showed the games back in the day when they were on Fox Soccer.
Oh, that's a feisty one. Got a little bit on the old leg there.
Love it.
Oh, I actually have to crack mine.
Oh, Ferris, I just no place got to take you. Sono Tacos, as in South Knoxville. So SOKNO. We found our Tijuana Flats.
Oh,
it's like all fresh, but it's a different, like street taco stuff. Not quite the same.
Sounds delightful.
Or Great Pacifico though.
Love it. I got to get up to Knoxville, man. I got to do this German brewery. I got to see y'all.
And that the brewery, not the Casual Pint, the one that
one Knox game
pint that Ron pointed out got like one of the best breweries in the nation.
I love it, man. You know what? As soon as I get figure out some time that I can take off here with new gig in the summer, I'm heading up. I want to go to one Knox game. I want to go to the breweries. I want to play with the small one and go on. What's the thing that I don't like the series? Lord of the Rings adventures. We can do all of that.
Actually, that's right. Yeah. We'll get my little one. She'll have her elf cloak on, swords ready to roll. Best of the season is our next little section. How we did, who won our Fantasy Premier League contest. So, Ferris, do you want to take you usually tend to run this. Do you want to run this?
Yeah, sure. So as we did, on our first pod, we're going to go through all of the bestest, and kind of right before we do that, our Trace Mementos. What were our 3 moments of the season? Who wants to go first? Not everybody at once.
I mean, I was just talking tacos. I can go first.
Go ahead.
Are you doing all 3?
Yeah.
We never solidify this in 8.
That's fine.
Seasons
it doesn't matter.
All
right. So Blake, you're going to do all 3 to start. Ron, do all 3, and then I'll end it with all 3.
You know what's great? This is all. It's perfect coming off the Mexican taco joint I told you about, because they make a great homemade verde that's spicy, just like all of Blake's picks. I went a little negative with my picks for Trace Mementos, and you'll see what I mean.
Oh, okay.
Number 1, Antonio Conte and Thomas Tuchel get super spicy when Spurs travel to Chelsea for the second weekend of the season. This becomes important because both clubs can fall apart after this too. Like I know it's only a couple of weeks in, but there's this huge explosion. There's all this passion with the managers. What's going on? The handshake that was heard around the world. And then both these guys are gone and don't finish the season out. Actually, one of them just won the Bundesliga. So, I mean, to me, one of my favorite moments. You know what part 2 is?
Go ahead.
Spicy number 2, Conte blows his lid and explodes after the 3-3 draw to Southampton. As Ron mentioned, Southampton winning or drawing games they shouldn't, as he freaks out and explodes about the history of Tottenham, and this is what it is, and just melts down about, I guess, how awful it is. Well, I don't know. He never specifically said what it is, but he just kept the Italian spicy peppers rolling. And then the spiciest pepper for number 3. You know what spicy number 3 is?
I think I do.
The spiciest? old Pierce Morgan getting an interview with Ronaldo
Yeah. Okay.
to go out and finish this out as a super spicy end to his Premier League career at Man United.
Okay. All right.
I started with Antonio and Thomas Tuchel, and I just couldn't stop with the spice. It was a very spicy behind the scenes year for some big personalities. Literally, this year made me miss Jose Mourinho. It was like the one thing it was missing
Right.
with everything else that was going on. Because like all the other managers, Ten Hag, whoever, pretty chill. I mean, like passionate, but you know, you got gregarious Klopp doing his thing and getting in trouble. But like these three gentlemen between Tuchel, Conte, and Ronaldo, a lot of spice. That's my trace spicy caliente mementos of the year.
Diablo almost. Oh,
Yeah.
love it. Love it, Blake.
So we're starting a theme
Go ahead.
Because-
I think, one spicy one in my top 3.
because as an embittered Chelsea fan, I figured I have to go with
Was it when Enzo signed for 8 years and then upped his deal to like 9 years? Or are those your first two moments of the season?
Mudryk.
Yeah, right.
My first one is the same as Blake's.
Okay.
The handshake heard around the world.
Yes, I completely forgot that was in this season.
Then
Two weekends in, man. Barely.
Yeah.
then they couldn't separate, and Tuchel pulls Conte toward him in that handshake, and they get jawing at each other.
Yep.
It's brilliant.
Love it.
Happened on the London Derby at the Bridge. Handshake around the world.
Love it.
All right, number 2 is also Ronaldo, but a different Ronaldo. Ronaldo spicily ignores Jamie Carragher and Gary Neville during the Sky Sports interview seen around the world. God,
Oh my
that
God.
was hilarious.
What's amazing is I thought he was going to say a different one, which I'm not going to say in case it's one of Ferris's. So I'll because I forgot how many Ronaldo spicy.
Ronaldo had
I
a
don't-
few.
I don't have any Ronaldo ones because to be honest with you, I kind of forgot up until we were talking about this pod that he was still with United at the time. But anyways, go ahead.
So I was torn between the interview or his spicy exit that preceded the interview when he walked down corridor. That would have been my.
But here he gets called out for a Sky Sports interview with 5 pundits, and he breezes past Jamie Carragher and Gary Neville
Love
and
it.
doesn't even acknowledge their existence.
Love it.
Well, it's Gary Neville, so yeah, that's good on Ronaldo.
More like Jamie Carragher, but
Yeah.
for both of them. I think it was more of a F you to Sky Sports. You're part of England and you're the main, match of the day and all this. Yeah, go on, F you.
And then my
F
third
Actually, they might be on. Anyways, go ahead.
spicy moment of the year, Klopp hauling ass over to the 4th official
yeah.
to celebrate
Yep, that
a
was pretty
goal,
recent, yeah.
a go-ahead goal.
If you will.
And then as he runs away, pulls his hamstring.
But see,
And
that's
it's
why it's not spicy, Ron. Klopp gives you the caliente with a heaping dose of sour cream to calm it right down. To calm it right down.
I mean, that was just brilliant.
Yep.
He went over there to foolishly celebrate and rub it for reasons unknown, rub it in the face of the 4th official who has no real bearing on the match in any way. Celebrates in his face, shouts in his face, and then as he's running away, the hamstring snap heard round the world.
Yep.
Those are my 3 spicy moments.
Okay. All right.
I love it. I love it.
All right.
Spicy.
I mean, I'll
moments.
stick with the theme. I love Pacifico, La Cerveza, Del Pacifico. I got one El Diablo, mementos. Well, let me take my first sip of the Pacifico. I haven't had it yet. Liquid cold. 2-1, 4-0. Those are the score lines. United lost both of them to Brighton and Brentford. When Liverpool came to Old Trafford, 20th place Man United, and Man United won 2-1. To lose those 2 games out of it, United to beat the juggernaut that was Liverpool and essentially kind of start that slide for Liverpool that completely spiraled from there, and that caused their up and down season. That was a huge moment in this season for Ten Hag to gain confidence, for the squad to gain confidence, and for them to push forward. So a big moment was 3 weekends in, United in 20th hosting Liverpool. Everybody thought Liverpool was going to wipe the floor with them, and 2-1 win to United. Second moment of the season, when Phil and I paid 80 quid to get into Palace and Arsenal for what was both of our first Premier League match ever to be seen over in England at Selhurst Park. I will never forget that moment. We'll never forget watching a game there. It was a 1-1 draw. Good goals. It just both on the other side of the field from where we were at, but we didn't even care. It was such a blast, and Selhurst Park is awesome to see a game in just a moment that sticks out in my head. The third one, spicy. Man City 4, Arsenal 1. It was just kind of I've been saying it all season, and there it was. And it was a big moment in the title. So I don't know how that can't be a moment of the season. That match was absolutely a crucial turning point to the Premier League season. And it was a little bit of spice.
Says a Man U fan.
Yeah,
it's tough to say, but it decided who won the league. Wait,
I thought beating Manchester City twice was what decided who won the league.
They didn't do that, right? Man City won twice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Point proven. Thank you.
They beat Arsenal twice. Arsenal didn't beat them twice.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Point proven. Thank you.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Arsenal needed to beat them twice in order to win the league, and they didn't.
Actually, they didn't need to beat them. They just needed to beat Southampton, and they needed to beat Brighton. And they needed to beat.
Or you need to beat who's on the top to. Anyways,
Yeah.
we've hashed this several times. Moving on.
He does that new math.
Hey, 6 points. You beat Man City in 2 games. Guess what that is? 6 points. Anyways, bestest of the season. Best game of the season. I will start. We'll go reverse order.
Was that? Wait, did you have 3?
I did.
Yeah, that was the third one.
Sorry.
Yeah, I did.
I missed
Yeah.
it.
Similar to the Palace game, best game of the season. Seeing Arsenal and United at the Emirates. That was 3-2 back and forth, late goals, fun goals, good goals, the whole nine. Phil and I seeing that at the Emirates, just what a fun match, and hard to think of a better game of the season than those two kind of going at it, and what felt like an old time game with where they were at in the table, what they were going for. They ended 2-3 in the table, but just brought you back to kind of those early 2000 type games, and what a fun match it was.
That'll go to you, Ron.
I think
Okay.
the match of the season for me is the one that made me the most nervous and had me the most invested. Will they win? Won't they win? Are they going to draw? If they draw, what does that mean? And that is the Everton-Bournemouth match from this last weekend.
Okay. All right.
Because so much was riding on that game, and it was a wide open, back and forth match the entire time, knowing the scores of the other games as they were coming in.
Yeah.
Man, that was a white knuckler the entire time.
Absolutely.
Everton Bournemouth this past weekend. Everton wins and squeaks out of the relegation zone.
Yep.
I love when we're not all the same. The honorable mention is Ferris sitting there live watching Arsenal beat Manchester United. It was very hard.
I figured that was going to be yours.
But best game of the season for me, kind of similar to Ron's thought, comes on May 8th, 2023, just a scant few weeks ago, with Nottingham versus Southampton, that insane 4-3 game that probably secured Nottingham's being
but
in.
It helped them, and then was that the one that sent Southampton down? Yeah, that is the one after it, but it was
pretty close to that area.
That was a big match. Absolutely.
huge match, and it was bonkers. So many goals and crazy game, back and forth, everything on the line, and Nottingham Forest really secured their season in this match. Fun match.
Blake, start us off. Best goal of the season. Best goal of the season.
Hold on, go back up my notes. I have my best goal of the season. Well, I'm staying in the Nottingham territory, but I'm going with something from Nottingham. It was a Nottingham match, however. It was a match with Fulham against Nottingham, where Willian scored that awesome goal where the ball, like a FIFA match on your Xbox or PlayStation, was bouncing all around the goal. It couldn't quite get in. It came. He had like, did he have like 2 shots before he even shot that shot? I don't know. It was bonkers.
Yeah.
And then he finally gets his foot on it again, sends it up, and just at the upper top left corner, as perfect as it can be.
Yeah, okay. I remember that one now. Yeah, okay.
So
always good to see Willian score. I miss Willian.
It was a really good goal.
And
it totally like a FIFA match.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, good point. Mine, I'm going to go with an old MLS favorite. I've always liked Almiron. His style of play has always been fun, and his goal against Fulham
That was a good goal.
That's a good one.
Comes over the top. Gets past his defender. He's looking into the sun. He brings it well down on his left side and volleys that thing right across the goal. Keeper has no chance. And that kind of becomes Almiron's the pivot point in Almiron's season, where it becomes much more of a prolific scorer. He's also helping Newcastle really push for that Champions
League. A lot
League.
of points at that time, yeah.
And it's good to see an MLS player go across the pond and score and do well, because he hasn't. In last season, he didn't do that well. The season before, he wasn't that great. So it's good to see him scoring. So that's my goal of the season.
If you're an Atlanta United fan, I guess.
Oh, shove it.
Best goal of the season.
Yeah, we were all thinking.
Right. What was that, Blake? Sorry.
I said, thanks for saying it. We were all thinking.
Exactly. Best goal of the season might be recency. Kind of what you said with best game of the season, but that Decore hit yesterday, that one goal to secure Everton in the Premier League. What a hit! What a strike! What implications that one goal had! Massive. It came in like the early 60s, late 50s. I don't know, but what an absolute strike! I want everybody that has kids or that they play soccer listening to this pod, go and watch that again. Watch Decore on that. Watch his movement. Watch how concentrated he is on that ball, and watch how he strikes that ball. It could not have been hit any cleaner. And the implications of that goal scoring not only kept Everton up, but as we were talking about early, possibly kept them from collapsing and falling further down the leagues, because that was a wonder strike, and recency biased or whatever you call it, but what an absolute goal. You just don't get a bigger goal than that.
That's fair.
Best player of the season, I'll start it off. It has to be Haaland. I mean, he plays for Man City, and that sucks. But playing for Dortmund, I was a big fan of him. But you look at him, look at what he brought to that squad, his runs off the ball, his power, his pace, his precision, the amount of times he could have scored hat tricks, and his manager brought him off. 36 goals in his first season, just
unheard of.
Hard to say. You could go a few others maybe, but I think he kind of, for me, is a player of the season.
Yeah, that's what I picked. Also because when he was not scoring, well, I should say when he was not flinging his body at the ball to score, which he did many times in awkward, weird poses and things like that.
Ron, he's 90% machine. You have to understand that. He doesn't always move gracefully.
Yeah, that's fair.
Skynet.
He was also doing a lot for his other teammates because the center backs would do their best to make him invisible, leaving massive holes for Gundogan, Grealish, you just
De Bruyne.
Thank you, De Bruyne. Slipped my mind.
Yep.
He did so much for that team. Everybody was so afraid of him. It just allowed other people to have better access.
What a player.
See, this is what I mean, though. I picked Holland too because how do they not? Okay, it's almost like if they don't win the treble, it feels like they failed. And I know that's harsh, but what I mean is like you have this player that has smashed the records. You've got
in his
all
first
these
season
things.
at his age,
Right?
Yeah.
And only for like 50 some mil. Like, it's not like they went out and spent 100 mil like Jack Grealish on him. They spent half the cost on him.
Yep.
And he produced 36 goals in his first season in the league alone.
I love Ole Gunnar Solskjaer being like, I told them.
Yeah.
I told them I am. They were like,
I mean, and that might have been like Norwegian biased there, but United probably should have heeded that, you know? Wow.
He scored a third of Manchester City's goals.
You know how many goals he scored? As many as Southampton did.
Yep.
Think about that. As an entire club scored 36, he scored 36.
Yep.
Holland needs to pick that up a little bit. But that's what I mean. Like, it almost feels like it's just a failure if they don't get the treble because all these crazy
I get what you're
things
saying,
are,
yeah.
you know, in their favor or kind of rolling their way historically. That it's like, you know, when you look back and go, this is why teams don't do this very often. Everything has to be just right. And it feels like everything's just right this go round.
Your best player for your club there, Blake?
Anonymous. Oh, the man who scored the winning goal in front of your face.
Oh,
Mr.
no, it wasn't
Sock.
winning goal.
Really?
It was not the winning goal. It was a tying goal.
It was a tying goal. You're correct. It was a tying goal.
I would have thought Martinelli would have been the
I
player
thought he
this
would go.
season.
I thought he would have gone for Odegaard.
Well,
yeah, you can.
okay. Here's the good news. Speaking of the future looking bright, it is a tight race. Like looking at that, Saka had 14 goals and 11 assists. Martin Odegaard had 15 goals, 7 assists. Gabriel Martinelli had 15 goals and 5 assists. Trossard, who came in late, had 8 goals and 12 assists. My favorite thing about Arsenal this year was they didn't need a person to do everything. They spread the ball around very well. But I'm going to say Saka consistently, and then also like did fantastic in the World Cup, and then jumped right back in and kept his form through this season as well. So I'm going to go Saka because some of these other guys were out of games that they still won. I think Saka can't be out of as many of those games, and they still win.
Fair enough. Ron. Here we go through the Rolodex of players, and you still might have to go back through it again to figure out who.
30 of your 32 wingers.
So unlike Blake, who is essentially picking goals as the
And assists. Goals and assists combined.
metric for his, we didn't score goals.
It's a valid point.
And we didn't have very much of a midfield.
It's another valid point.
So that rules that out. Our defense was, non-existent at best. And we had a goalkeeper, I think. The only bright spot on that entire team that was in any way consistent.
Oh, God, don't say it.
Walking his walker out of the tunnel for 38 matches. Thiago Silva, at 37 years old.
Yeah.
37 years old. Is our best player of the season.
Okay.
And I don't mean that as an insult to him. He was actually our best player. He made clutch saves. He protected the goal as much as he possibly could. He took 4 goals off the line for Chelsea this season. If we didn't have him anchoring what was our defense, I think we'd be a bit further down the table.
Okay.
And I mean, who else is there?
Fair enough. Best player.
I was trying to pick what Ron was going to say earlier.
I thought he was going to go.
I'm like, oh, this is tough because I got a few to choose from. I was like, what the hell is Ron doing?
Yeah, right. And same. I have a few to choose from.
You have one, but go ahead.
Go ahead. Who?
Martinez.
No.
Rashford.
That's not your. Oh, God.
Rashford,
Sure.
Yeah. Honorable mention to Casemiro. The effect that he had on the squad, I think, is massive. Yeah. Rashford, 30 goals in all competitions. What he was a year ago with, 4 or 5 goals in the league, what Ten Hag brought out of him, still only 25 to 20, just what a big goals. Same with Casemiro, but Rashford, 30 goals in a season, first time since the Sir Alex years with RVP. As I said earlier. So for me, he's the best player for the club. The club thought so as well. Awarded that honor in their recent awards, but very, very strong second choice, if you will, to Casemiro for what he brought to this team and a little bit of stability there in the midfield. Jen, you want to know how he did?
How who did? Oh.
Where'd you go?
Sorry. I would have picked Casemiro.
Okay. Yes.
Only from the standpoint of he had never been red carded. He got red carded in this in this season. He was out for the second time. He was out for 3? It was
5 games.
Extended.
Yeah, it was like something like that.
And they were a noticeably different team without him.
Yeah, agreed. Absolutely. Scored some big goals too, right?
Yeah.
Scored the header in the Chupacabra Cup final to start that going in B2-0. I think Rashford scored the second. Casemiro against Bournemouth, against Bournemouth, where it was that United need 1 point from 2 games. First goal there. Boom. No, not against Bournemouth, against Chelsea. A header, but you're playing Chelsea and Fulham, and you need just a point. Header there. The big header against Chelsea earlier in the reverse fixture. So goal score, not necessarily what he did, but I big fan of him, and have a more appreciation for him, seeing him live too, and then seeing what he did throughout the season for the he's a very, very, very solid center defensive midfielder and one of the best in the world by far.
Yeah, you couldn't have. I mean, you had a couple to choose from, and
Absolutely.
None of those would have been wrong.
All right, here's how we did, gentlemen. Top 4. All of us were pretty much in it, if you will. Blake, your top 4 was Man City, Arsenal, 1-2. Bingo, bango. Right on the money with that. Well done. Liverpool, Tottenham, not so much. Liverpool in what are they? 5th? 6th? 5th, and Tottenham in 8th. I had 3 in the top 4 opposed to the 2 that you had. I had Man City first, Liverpool second, Man United third, Arsenal fourth. Man City first, Arsenal second, and United third, Liverpool in 5th. So, Ron, you had 2 out of 4 as well. You had Man City, Liverpool, Arsenal, Tottenham. So one of the things that I think we kind of talked about in a group chat that we're in with a few other for ends of the pod and Tony Sounds Good and Phil, was that we all picked Arsenal in the top 4. And I think a lot of that comes into what we saw in the preseason game here in July. As weird as it sounds, it's just preseason, right? Preseason friendly, but you noticeably saw a difference between Arsenal and Chelsea, and you saw where they finished in the table. Very weird how that played out, but we noticeably saw a difference in Arsenal and how they played. I think we all had the confidence that they would end up in the top 4, and they sure as hell did.
On the other
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Ron.
On the other side of that coin, we saw how listless and weird Chelsea were playing.
Yeah.
And we were all of us were noticeably pondering what is happening at the Chelsea squad.
Yeah.
Which then translates to a 12th.
Exactly. So yeah, as it finished Man City, Arsenal, Man United, and Newcastle, I had 3 out of 4. Blake and Ron had 2 out of 4. And this, I really don't know how you guys picked anybody else besides Erling Haaland, because I was the only one to get that golden boot correct. Blake, Gabriel Jesus finished in 14th in the goal scoring.
That's not totally fair, though, Ferris, because a lot of people come into their first Premier League, and especially out of Bundesliga, they don't actually do that well. I mean, this is...
Yeah, but if you watch Haaland at Dortmund, and you know he's going into a squad that's going to just feed him balls over the top and through balls and all, come on. It was a given.
To me, it didn't feel like a guaranteed thing prior to the season starting.
Blake chose Gabriel Jesus. He was 14th in the goal scoring with 11 goals. Ron chose Son. He was not in the top 18, so I don't know exactly where he finished. And he had a really dire season.
It was so sad
for him. Yeah,
so sad that Tottenham just pulled him down the drain with him.
Yep. We all had Frank Lampard being the first sacked. I know we've covered this on the last 5. He was not. I think he was actually the third. It was the first was Scotty Parker of Bournemouth back on August 30th. Was the first manager to be relieved of duty,
which we all said was way too early, and that's crazy. And they did survive, so
that they did. Yeah. Getting relegated. Here's the thing: as I'm looking down this, we all had Everton getting relegated. It came down to one game at the end of the season.
We were close.
We almost got that right. All of us had Everton as our first choice of going down. Not only did we have Frank Lampard being sacked, who was the manager of Everton at the time, but we had Everton as the first. Blake, you had Fulham and Southampton, so you got Southampton right. I had Everton, Bournemouth, and Southampton, so I got Southampton right. Ron, the only person not to choose Southampton, he had Bournemouth and Fulham, both of which are entirely safe.
Son of a biscuit.
The only time Blake and I choose Southampton, you don't. You go opposite, and we're right.
I really was like sitting there agonizing over that pick.
Yep. 18th was Leicester, 19th Leeds, 20th Southampton, as we talked about. All right, our Leicester. How funny is this? Our Leicester's prediction, and they go down. None of us were anywhere near it. I'm gonna be honest. They were really Leicester. Like it was out there. Blake was the closest technically, as he had Nottingham to end in 10th. Not close. They ended in 16th, so 6 places away from 10th, but still the closest, because I thought Tottenham would win the league. And that didn't happen. Ugh. Not even close. And Ron had Leeds going to the Europa League, and they're getting relegated. So that certainly didn't happen.
Not even. I mean, that's a different galaxy.
That's not even in the right atmosphere. That's what that is. So those were our picks for the season. And for our fantasy league, we alluded to it earlier. Mr. Kim won again.
Came back swinging.
Congratulations!
Absolutely, he was not in first the entire year. Oh no, he bounced back and forth quite a lot, but he won. I'm having problems bringing up the table right now, so that's why I'm trying to stall too.
I had to be getting relegated out of that.
I got it here.
I had to be terrible.
Ron just
look. I will tell you what happens.
Go ahead.
I think about that fantasy day and night, and I wring my hands about it for the first 3 weeks. And then something magically occurs where I completely forget that we are even doing it. And when you talked about the fantasy today at dinner, I was like, oh, yeah, right. We were doing that. Completely forgot.
If there was a relegation battle in fantasy, both Ron and Blake would have been relegated, as we had 30 people playing in our league. Ron got 28th and Blake got 29th. So you boys would have been going down to the championship of the Brewtiful Game fantasy.
I have to figure out how to like tweak it in my brain so that I actually play it.
Phil would have just survived. Phil would have been like the Everton of the season. He survived by 11 points in the relegation battle. Now, on the other end though, Kim, this last week is what won him this. 72 points this game week, where second place only got 26 points. Why is that important? Because Kim won with a total of 2,538 points, where Gary Watson, who was in second and led most of the season, was in 2,535 points. 72 game-winning points propelled Kim by 3 points to win the Brewtiful Game fantasy.
So
league.
this is kind of art imitating life.
Yeah, absolutely. Like that.
Well, Kim, just know that your victory is probably assured that this Arsenal fan has to buy you a Spurs kit. I'm going to be what you choose to do. Well, we'll see, but reach out. We'll reach out.
Yeah. So as we say, if you win our fantasy league, we three will pitch in to buy you a kit of your choice under $100 US. So Kim, shoot us. You have all of our stuff, so shoot. Any one of us something, and we'll be sure to get on that.
Yeah, we'll get you set up. Man, gosh, that was years ago we hung out with him at Dead Lizard. Remember that?
Yeah, absolutely do.
Yeah, he won previously.
He's like a 2 or 3. He's like the Man City of our fantasy.
I remember getting him a kit from when I was actually in Japan.
Over in Japan. He got that really cool blue one.
Yeah. Their international kit.
Yeah, that's right. Straight from Japan, you picked that up. I forgot about that.
Yeah, but thank you everybody that participated. Gary, sorry man, you. Hey, listen, reach out to us. We'll send you a scarf, some magnets. No kit, but you put on a hell of a season, and 3 points is nail biter. But thank you everybody that played. We will certainly do it again next year. And thank you. And hopefully we can grow this league next year.
Honorable mention for best name of a football club for their fantasy this year goes to Phil Ngari for fair to play soccer.
And guess who finished above him?
SAKA.
And guess who finished above him with really no Arsenal players on his team or Liverpool players?
Also, I got to say honorable mention too to Ferris. I do like Shaw in Order. That's a good name for your club.
All right.
Yeah.
Brilliant. I finished in 20th. I was like mid-table, baby. I was the Fulham. I was the Fulham of this. Well, no, actually mid-table like 15. So I was more like the West Ham, maybe, if you will.
Yeah.
West Ham.
Yeah, I'm winning the Europa Conference League, baby.
Well, Ferris, I know we need to. Where are we at? I'm falling off over here.
We're way over time. We need to. We're Ron. Do you not want to?
Yeah, let's just move right on.
You know what? Right. Well, I'll make this. I will make this super quick.
Chop the chorizo chieftain.
Yep.
Beer news for the moment.
I'll save it. Don't worry. It's a good one. I'll save it.
I will give you a 30-second La Liga's roundup.
No. Damn it. La Liga's roundup.
La Liga's roundup. Oh.
There it is.
Thank you.
I'm just doing it for fun.
30 seconds. Who is a time? I can see it right here.
Okay, I got your timer.
Borussia Dortmund. What? I can't even say it right. Borussia Dortmund absolutely bottled it.
Keep it. Who is it, Ferris? Who are you talking about?
Borussia Dortmund, because they dumped the entire freaking league. I want Byron brought right here with a big ribbon on their head, and I want to look them straight in the eye, and I want to tell them what a cheap lying, no good, rotten, four-fleshing, low-life, snake-leaking, dirt-eating, inbred, overstuffed, ignorant, blood-sucking, dog-kissing, brainless, hopeless, heartless, fat, bug-eyed, stick-legged, spotted-lipped, worm-headed sack of monkey they are. Hallelujah. Holy where's the Tylenol?
Ferris has some feelings.
That was
Bayern Munich win
fantastic.
again. God bless. All you gotta do is win at home against ninth place Mainz. 2 goals. You give up. Missed pen. Got to come from behind. Don't get it. Musiala, great freaking goal. 89th minute. Wins Bayern the title. Off. Can we move on to quotes and bad jokes? And that was your La Liga's roundup.
That was not like our first bleep of the season.
God bless it.
He did pretty good. Our bleep sheet's pretty empty today. So
Except for
pretty
his 4 curse words in the last 40 seconds.
good. All right. Well, then I think that starts to slowly wind us down. Beer mentions. Again, I will thank Ferris for these awesome Camden Hells straight from the Camden Town Brewery. That is the official brewery of Arsenal. I also had for my follow-up a Munich Hells from the Schultzbrow Brewery in Knoxville.
We did Barrie, Ontario's great Flying Monkeys craft brewery. We did the Frosty, the Friendship Dragon double IPA, which was quite tasty. Again, I don't think I've ever had anything from Flying Monkeys that I didn't like.
Absolutely not.
My follow-up to that was a Boddington's Pub Ale, smooth cream ale.
And I had beer that I had when we first started the pod. I had a Pacifico Clara. Love it.
Which is, what kind of beer is that?
Mexican lager, a nice cerveza.
There you go.
Quality, always.
You got us this Latan quote to finish out.
You know who
this.
also is quality always. At one point, Zlatan was asked, would you ever become a manager or become, a coach? And he goes, become a coach? Impossible. Because during the match, I'd slap at least 2 players. And after the match, 8. As he admits, he hasn't got the discipline to be a football manager.
Could you imagine him as a manager, though?
He said it right there. He'd slap at least 2 players during the game, and after the match, 8 of them. So
Be like, you missed that pass. Boot to the head.
Oh,
That's
wow. Boot to the head.
Boot to the head.
Royal Canadian Air Farce. Oh, man, Blake, where'd you pull that one?
Okay, guys, Ferris.
uh,
I'm going to try to bring some magic back. Do you remember how the dad joke started, to go back a little historically?
no, I don't.
I think I cracked 1 or 2, but then one of you guys got me the dad joke book.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
And we flipped through it, and I would just stop randomly.
Well, and I
Sometimes-
think because you were also becoming a dad, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Oh, that's
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So I have found, because an article on CNN popped across my feed, the dad joke generator.
Okay.
So
Amazing.
I'm going to try to regain this magic because I didn't find it good this week, and just click a couple times and see what happens. Are you ready?
Are you going to tell us what exactly you click?
Yeah.
Oh, I
I'm
love
just getting it says dad joke generator. I'll send you the link after this.
Okay.
You just click push, and it's got like a baseball cap and a tie and a hammer and a fish and a mustache, and then it goes
all the great things. Love it.
Yes.
Yeah, it doesn't make that noise. I wish it did.
American.
All right. Click. A plateau is the highest form of flattery.
Geology joke. Love it.
I'm going to hit it again. See what happens. Why is it always hot in the corner of a room? Because a corner is 90 degrees.
Oh, he snorted. You got to snort.
We go from geography to geometry in one failed swoop, and
Hey,
stop right there. Just leave it.
Ferris,
Let it lie.
I'm reading a book about anti-gravity. I can't put it down. Sorry, there was one more science one in here.
It's awesome.
There you go.
The 90 degrees one's pretty good. That's a pretty good one. That's pretty good.
I like that he snorted.
That's a pretty good one.
It's great. Okay, good. I'm glad I found this. This is good for us.
I love
Take
it.
us off. I don't think anything ever caught us off guard as much as the one that was. Did you hear about the one that was in the old book, the Did you hear about how they had a trouble digging the tunnel over from England to France? They had Britain off more than they could chew. Made us laugh way harder than it should have. I remember that one being like the one that...
And we
that
probably
got,
had some high percentage beers that night, too. That just kind of helped.
For sure. All right, gents. Well, that's 8 Premier League seasons we have wrapped up. Isn't that crazy?
Congratulations, gentlemen.
I totally thought you were going to play the League's roundup whip.
He knows where the applause button is.
Yeah, right.
Not so much the whip. Well, gents, it is always a pleasure. Super have a blast doing with you. I don't know why we thought this one would be an hour and 15 minutes. It's the end of the season. Of course it was going to run long.
2 hours and 15 minutes.
Hey, man. Because next week, what do we talk about?
FA Cup. We have FA Cup final, and then we have a Champions League final. And if you don't know who was promoted to the Premier League, we might mention that next pod as well.
Yeah,
and Europa Conference final too.
Yeah,
yeah,
very true.
And then in an upcoming pod, we have that. I've been doing a deep dive into Premier League finances, so I want to chat with you guys about how the finances work because that's a story.
Hold on to your pants and grab your pocket protectors. It's about to get nerdy up here.
Let's go.
You're gonna love it.
Yeah. Oh, I'm kind of excited for that special on a very special episode. Finance of the Premier League. I'm excited for that.
On the Brewtiful Game.
Professor Keller.
I have to come up with a great tagline for him on that one.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll be a whole beer news, but basically episode. I love it. Well, gents, to 8 more.
Oh, yeah.
Sláinte.
Sláinte.
Cheers, guys. Love the beer. Cherish the game. The Brewtiful Game.